Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Anybody out there? Good. I see somebody pop on there. It was testing my mics. I think we got our microphone fixed. I think we're good. And I can actually view my presentation. Facebook had their update, so we are golden as golden can be. So we are good to go. Thank you everybody for joining us live here at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday. If it wasn't for these debriefs, every day would feel like the same day for me. Just with all the different Zooms and everything else. Just, man, feels a little bit like Groundhog Day. But my wife and I were talking about Groundhog Day today, and that was a movie where actually you get to learn from each day, and you try to make the next day better and fit more of what your plan is. And you get to reboot every single day, kind of like the way life is anyways. So welcome to Groundhog Day, number whatever day it is today, as far as COVID is concerned and the lockdown. Anyhow, let's go ahead. Let's see. We can see you're wearing boxer shorts now. You're hilarious. No, you can't. All right. Well, let's begin. I appreciate everybody for being here. Fantastic. A little bit about who I am. Quantitative economics and decision sciences major. Stephen Thomas, University of California, San Diego. 29 years in the business. Orange County native. Capital Valley High School grad. 9 kids. An avid runner. That's right. 9 kids. For those of you joining us for the very first time, I brought 6. She brought 2. I adopted hers. She adopted mine. And boom. We had this bonus guy. So we are a Brady Bunch. Brady Bunch only had 6. If you could do the math, 9 is a lot more than 6. Thank you, my producer and director. My wife helped set up, and then my son helped set up. So we got a lot of help from a lot of different people. So my gig is reportsonhousing.com, and I do this reports on housing. I've been doing it since 2004, and I deliver a housing report to 5 Southern California counties. And most reports talk about closed sales data. Soon, probably within the next 10 days, we'll get the closed sales data for the month of April. But I'm not a big fan of looking backwards. I'm a fan of looking forward. So I like to look forward and talk about the active listing inventory. That's the number of homes on the market, as well, and that's supply versus demand. The last 30 days worth of pending sales. That's a reflection over of the last 30 days velocity. So we're looking at to see what changes there are, and from that we get what's called the expected market time. If you place a home on the market today, when are you going to be opening up escrow down the road? And I have 5 reports for all the different Southern California counties, like I was talking about prior. The latest one that came out, San Bernardino Riverside just got theirs yesterday, and this is demand rises, and this is Orange County, Los Angeles, and San Diego got theirs a week from yesterday. So if you sign up for the latest report, you will get this report, and then this coming up next Monday will be Orange County, Los Angeles, San Diego for the next report. So you go to reportsonhousing.com, you click on subscribe, and you get a month free if you sign up using the code MAYDEMAND, as in the month of May demand, because that's what it's all about. May, all of a sudden, we're seeing this big shift in demand. And you get if you go to the FAQ and sample report section, you can actually get samples of the various reports and what they look like. So I would first like to thank our sponsor. Almost dropped my clicker. Matterport 3D Tours at matterport3dtours.com. They have a most effective virtual imaging available to showcase your listings remotely, and they can keep your buyers, sellers, and yourself safe. And they have special COVID-19 extra precautions that they take. Go to reservephotographer.com and you'll be able to sign up. They've got a COVID-19 special that they've been running since the start of this, and it starts at $299. And let's get into some fun spring photos. Yes. Oh, looks like I have a kid that has joined me. You can join me in a second because we're going to talk about this thing. Yes, got it. This is very important. Mia ran a marathon. She's sitting there holding Zeke right now. But let's get into first some spring fun photos. And oh yes, telling your suitcase there's no vacation this year can be tough. Emotional baggage is the worst. Even looks sad. Sad suitcase. And then Bill Gates on TV about COVID-19. Somebody said, "I believe him. This man's been dealing with viruses since Windows 95." True. And this is the new way of Zooming. You know, I'm gonna need to get out of bed as long as you're dressed. You know, this is the office, right? I love this mask. I've seen some creative masks. Every once in a while I see a new one that just catches my eye, and this is awesome. So, Sunday was Mother's Day. Little tribute out to those moms, especially my beautiful wife, Tiffany Jo, TJ. There is no role in life that is more essential than that of motherhood. I think that's so true. It's beautiful. My daughter is nodding. My little baby is not. He's looking at daddy. But I'd like to just thank my wife for being a wonderful mommy to all of the kids, as well as we have my mom and we have Nana. I'm surrounded by super strong, beautiful, spiritual, awesome, incredible women. So thank you very much. Happy Mother's Day to all of you. And I hope everybody enjoyed their Mother's Day weekend. Oh, come on over here, Mia Rose. So this is Mia Rose. So stand right over here. I want to show some of these pictures. Stay right there for a second. We'll squeeze you in a second. But as you can see, I was riding my wife's bike because my bike broke. One of the pedals did. Somebody said you should get a new bike, Steve. You're right. I should get a new bike. But here I am with my daughter. Both my wife and my mother-in-law all did a leg of the marathon, and I did the final leg. Yeah. You see Mama? No, that's not. That's Dada and Mia. And then here's Mia. This is how you do it COVID-19 style without getting yourself all germy. Use the bottom of your shoe to press the walk button. And then this is Mia finishing 26.2 miles. That's her crossing the finish line that we had. I have to say, check this out. This is actually the Orange County Marathon's medallion for running a marathon. Pretty darn cool. A little bit closer. I'll show you this beautiful thing. Look at that thing. Look at that. I'm so proud of that girl. Hard to do a marathon. I did a marathon with bands and rock and roll and so many people cheering you on, and we had our family cheering on. Somebody goes, "Well, that is a lot of people." Yeah, you're funny. I'm talking lots and lots of people. And this is a shirt she got that was for social distancing, if you could see it. Yeah, pretty darn cool. It has two guys in hazmat suits, and then you're crossing the finish line. Teepee. And then that she had that fun race that she did. This was a virtual race that she did a few weeks ago, and this was the special medal that you got, and it's with caution tape. Pretty darn cool. Oh, this is for YouTube. I'm so sorry, YouTube. We've got two cameras going at the same time. Alrighty, but we wanted to congratulate Mia for running 26.2 miles solo. Pretty awesome. All the family came out and represented. She didn't know that everybody's going to be there. It's kind of a surprise, but it was pretty cool. Congratulations, Mia. That's what I do with my remote. All right. So, and one last thing before we get on to the numbers real quick on real estate. I have a kid. We do. We have a kid that is going to be in that room right over here. This is the loft area. This kid is a class of 2020, the year where the caca got real. Yes, here he is, Kyler Stephen Thomas. He graduated on Saturday, and really no graduation yet. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do, but they at least took a lot of wonderful pictures and got all dressed up, and he is on his way back. He left Pullman, Washington State University, and pretty darned awesome. And so he's on his way back right now. So we will have a 6th kid underneath of our roof. So 6 out of the 9. He's on his way back. Congratulations to that young man. He is a double major, by the way. Finance and management. It's a Bachelor of Science in both. So, Southern California market. Here we go. Supply versus demand. It's that showdown. Really low supply and very low demand. However, there has been an evolution of demand, and we'll get into that. COVID-19 is still suppressing supply, and things are getting a little bit looser, not as much as the changes in demand, but Southern California active listing inventory, as you can see, this is where we were. This is actually as of April 30th. I crunched the numbers again in 2 days. Where it was at 12 days ago, April 30th, was at 30,823. That was up 3% in 2 weeks. So not anything giant. That's kind of a normal, little bit higher than normal increase in a 2-week period for that time of year. And last year we were at 42,554, 42% more homes on the market compared to right now. That's the difference between now and last year. And then last Thursday, I brought you these numbers, and it was at 31,310. That was up 1.6%. And then we have today, 31,336. Almost no change from last Thursday. So almost the same number of homes. So then I thought I would drill this down a little bit further and let you also know in 2007 there was 115,000 homes on the market, a lot more than today. That is why this is not the Great Recession. We just don't have the inventory to power a giant fall in prices. That's a lot of people have been speculating there's going to be these spikes in the inventory, and I'm just not seeing it like I'm already starting to see the spike in demand. So as a matter of fact, this number 31,336 brings us back to May of 2013. It hasn't been this low since May of 2013. That was a long time ago. So Los Angeles since last Thursday is up 1%. And Orange County is up 1%. Riverside County is flat. San Bernardino is down 1%. And San Diego County is down 1%. So inventory is not really going anywhere very fast right now. And then the number of new for sale signs in the past 4 weeks, I've done that. I kind of I took another deeper look at it, and it was down 50% before, just shy of 50%, and now it's down 44%. So it's not down as much as it was in the heat of everything, but it's starting to thaw out, and we're getting a few more homes that are entering the fray than where we were before, where it was just barely, we were running at about half of the normal number of homes. But still, down 44%, that's pretty spectacular. And if you look down in the various counties, LA County is down 45% compared, and this is compared to the 5-year average of number of homes coming on the market. Orange County down 48%. We have Riverside County down 44%, San Bernardino County down 45%, and San Diego County down 36%. Now, the supply problem versus the demand problem. So this was very, very low supply, but you know what? We've had very, very low demand. And here we go. COVID-19 is absolutely suppressing demand. But that's beginning to diminish because demand is waking up right now. As an industry, real estate agents have figured out how to work in this new environment. They have adapted. And more agents are adapting by the day. And as a result, we're seeing an uptick in demand. This is a small little uptick. Nonetheless, it was an uptick. But remember, this was as of April 30th, and that was a 2-week period. So mid-April to the end of April, we actually had an uptick. And here's what it looks like. April 30th, we were 8,839. That was up 7% in 2 weeks. Now, last year, there were 16,828. That is a 90%, that's 90% more demand. And demand is the last 30 days worth of pending sell velocity. So this is the difference between last year and this year. Big, big difference. However, that difference is diminishing. And I also wanted to point out from March 5th, that's way up here. That's when the last time it was really, really strong. It started to dip, and it kept on dipping. And that big dip from here to here was down 51%. So we halved our demand going from here to here. Last Thursday, we were at 10,831. So that was last Thursday. And that was up 23% compared to April 30th. That was going from 8,800 to just shy of 11,000. And now look, and this is the direction that we're headed. We're headed up. Demand. It's looking very V-shaped. As a matter of fact, taking a snapshot of what we were looking like today, which is 5 days later, today we're at 11,582, almost 1,000 up. That's 7% up from just last Thursday. And if you look at year over year, it's down by only a third. It's no longer down by half. It's down by a third. So you could see the difference between last year and this year is beginning to diminish because we're going towards that orange line. And it had already peaked last year and was coming down. And what are we doing right now? We're coming up. So demand is on the rise and active inventory is kind of flat. And you know what that does. That changes things considerably. And the last time, we were saying that the last time when we were talking a couple weeks ago, last time it was this low as far as demand, it dated back to the Great Recession. And those are Great Recession numbers. That's why everybody was comparing to the Great Recession. The difference was it wasn't a Great Recession because we had a lot less inventory. But we have a lot more demand coming online. And if you look at this, the last time that we were this low as demand was it's the end of January. It's no longer the Great Recession, it's the end of January. So we're now getting numbers that are close to the end of January, which is where we started to thaw out from the holidays. So we started to get going, and that's where we're at right now. It's like we're starting all over again. New Year's resolutions, we're just getting rid of them right now, and now we're moving on to real estate. And we haven't really even moved past, we're at the second phase of everything, but that's way different than, we really haven't opened up things. We're still sheltering in place quite a bit. There are a few more places that we can go, but social distancing is appropriate still. And then if you look at this, Southern California demand year over year, this was the demand drop from the 30th to last Thursday. Demand increase. And this is it from last Thursday to today. So we went from the 30th to last Thursday, up 20%, and then since then, up another 7%. Orange County, up 20%, and then since Thursday, up 6%. Riverside County, up 34%, up 6% since last Thursday. San Bernardino, up 21%, up 5% since last Thursday. And San Diego County, up 17% and up 10% since last Thursday. And San Diego County is already extremely hot. So in looking at that, you'll see in a minute how that affects everything. And like I said, this is more V-shaped. The rest of the economy, we've talked about turning on the dial and it'll be more U-shaped. But we already came from a really strong, healthy housing market, and there was already a lot of demand, and it kind of put things on hold, and now we're starting to see things thaw out pretty rapidly. And like I said, all the lockdown protocols have not even been lifted yet. And if you look at this is the Southern California expected market time. Same thing, we hit a height, and then we started to tick down because the inventory was kind of flat, and then demand started to rise. So SoCal on April 30th was at 105 days, and that was after moving from a higher height, came down to 105 days. And SoCal last year at this time, that's the orange line, 76-day expected market time. SoCal last Thursday, 87 days expected market time. And now, if I do the numbers today, SoCal today, 81 days. Guess what? Fully into a slight seller's market. It is tilting now towards the sellers. So in some areas, it was tilting a little bit towards the buyers. And then it was balanced. And now it's tilting towards sellers collectively for all of Southern California. Now, I'm going to go over this to just show you how it's evolved in time for each of the counties. April 16th, LA County is at 109 days. And then it jumped all the way up to 114. That was a 5-day increase. Then it dropped down to 98 days, down 16. That was as of last Thursday. And then it dropped down to 93 days. That's as of today. It's not yet a balanced, it's not yet a slight seller's market, but it is still balanced at 93 days, but it's knocking on the door of a slight seller's market. And I don't know why somebody just hid an angry face. I apologize if this is not the kind of news that you were looking for. But I just bring the data and the facts, kind of like in 2005, the fall of 2005, I saw a change in the marketplace. Then, with way too many homes in the market and demand low, I was calling for major drops in the housing market. So if you look at Orange County, on April 16th, it was in a slight buyer's market territory. It was at 121 days. And then on April 30th, dropped down to 118, which made it balanced. The threshold is 120 days. Orange County on May 8th, 101 days. That was last Thursday. And then today, or 96 days, that's down 5. So you can see it's down 5, 96 days. It's also knocking on the door of a slight seller's market. Riverside County went from 130 to 112 to 83 days to 78 days. 78 days, by the way, is a slight seller's market. 78 days, slight seller's market. And San Bernardino went from 103 to 92 days to 76 days to 71 days. Also, slight seller's market. So it's really LA and Orange County are the last two holdouts for moving into a slight seller's market. And San Diego, 88 days. They were already in a slight seller's market, even on April 16th. And if you talk to some of the agents in many of the different areas, they were just dependent upon price range, but a lot in the price ranges that were still meaty, and there were still homes flying off the market. 88 days, then to 85 days on April 30th, then to 75 days last Thursday. And they're at 68 days. That is hot. That's knocking on the door of a hot seller's market in San Diego. And I don't make this stuff up. This is just the number of escrows coming in, buyers and sellers coming together, and that's what I'm tracking as far as demand is concerned. So for those people holding out for that for a buyer's market and for values dropping, that's not happening. And it's moved to a balanced market for Orange County and Los Angeles, and like I said, slight seller's market for Riverside County, San Bernardino, and San Diego. So that big bad wolf is not going to be able to blow down this housing market. The Great Recession was a bunch of hay. The 1990, the savings and loan scandals, that was a bunch of sticks. This housing foundation is built on bedrock. It is made out of brick. And then, yes, so there's some people who are thinking, oh my gosh, totally hot market, sellers. Steven said sellers. I did not. I said slight. Slight sellers market. I want to emphasize that's not what it is yet. San Diego County's knocking on the door of it, so San Diego County looks like they might be headed towards that, but you also have to pick price ranges, and I'll get into that. Instead, you need to pack your patience. We're not catching with nets like we were prior to the COVID-19. We're catching with a fishing pole. We have more of the advantage as sellers. And just understand you have to have the right bait. You have to have the right, which is the right price. And you have to pack your patience. And you can't get too overzealous. But what is fueling this? The low mortgage rate environment is fueling this thing. We have low mortgage rates. This is the second lowest. This was as of last Thursday, the second lowest average mortgage rate across the United States ever, historical. And when you have those kind of low rates, you have to understand that is the jet fuel that is propelling us forward. And if you look at the expected market time, and this is where we are, this is deep buyer's markets above 150-day expected market time. Between 120 and 150 is a slight buyer's market. 90 to 120 is a balanced market. And this is a slight seller's market. And where are we headed? It looks like all these people going, well, seller's market. Yeah, but you have to get below this 60 days for it to be a hot seller's market. So we're making our way. Most of Southern California is going to make its way and stay in this range right here. I don't believe we're going to dip down this low, except for San Diego. San Diego's already knocking on that door. So I think the growth, the demand has been spiking up, and then it'll be really limited as we go forward. I mean, it'll continue to increase and go towards last year's numbers, but you have to understand that the meatiest part of the market, we're already passing it by. And May is typically the meatiest part, and we're still like a third off from where we were just a year ago. And last year was a little bit more, was a little bit, it wasn't as strong as it was in prior years during the spring. But I updated these charts just to show you where it's hottest. And in LA County, where is it hot? It's actually hot when it's below 60 days. And for LA County, that's below 750 for detached. Then it's slight seller from 750 to a million. Above that, it's kind of slow. Even for a million plus, it's slow. And then for attached, you're at 0 to 500,000. That's a slight seller's market. But above 750, it starts to really slow. And if you're in the upper luxury ranges, it's better. I did have thousands here, but still with 6 million plus, you're at 930 days. That's still really slow. And if you look at Orange County, everything below a million is still a seller's market. It's hottest between 5 and 750. Agents can vouch for that. That's detached. And for attached, it's not 0 to 250, but there aren't that many in that range. It's the 250 to 750 that is a slight seller's market. This is barely a slight seller's market. The 5 to 750 to 250 to 5 is a little bit hotter at 75 days. But then you start getting above those numbers and it really slows. 1 to 1.25 million, balanced in OC, and above 1.25 you start getting into, it starts to really slow down, especially above 2 million. And this is Riverside County. For here, it is 300 to 500,000. That is the hottest. And then you have slight from 2 to 3 and 5 to 650. 0 to 200 is balanced. So is 650 to 8, which is starting to unlock a little bit of the luxury, but above 8, it slows down, and above 1.5, it comes to a screeching halt. And attached, not doing as great, but 200 to 400,000 is balanced. Everything else is in buyer's market territory, or slight buyer's market territory. And when I mean slight, for sellers or slight for buyers, it means we're not doing a lot of appreciating. You have to get closer to the hot level or the deep buyer's market level of 150 days for it to really, and you have to be there for a while. Same thing bodes for the seller side. So it needs to get to close to 60 days for it to be a hot seller's market. And this is San Bernardino. 2 to 300 is the hottest. And then 0 to 200 and 300 to 650 is a slight seller's market, and then 650 to 8 starts to slow, and then the higher the price. But for attached, you could see 3 to 400 is actually hot. 0 to 300 is a slight seller's market, balanced, and then above 500 it's slow. And then last but not least, San Diego. This is the hottest county. Check out these numbers. This is pretty darn hot. 5 to 750 is extremely hot, like toasty hot. But they're actually in a slight seller's market from 750 all the way up to 1.5 million. Go figure that one out. And then 0 to 500. And then above 1.5, it really slows down quite a bit. And then 0 to 500 for attached is pretty strong at 45 days. That's the strongest in all of Southern California for attached. And then 5 to 750 is a slight seller's market, and above 750 starts to slow down quite a bit. So, a little bit about coronavirus. We're at 4.2 million. You can see the world still kind of flat. There are problem areas around the world. And it's not necessarily the United States. We're actually getting a little bit better. We're approaching 1.4 million right now. One of the big changes is LA. They still have been adding quite a few cases. I'll get into California in a minute. But LA is now, they were number 6. Now they're number 5 most impacted county in the United States. So they're not going to touch. New York City just has a ton, but they are knocking on the door. If they continue to go at the velocity that they are of adding new cases, they could be number 2 behind New York City and ahead of some other areas, Illinois, Cook County. And then you got United States, and you can see United States, you could see we're starting to come down. We had a couple really low within the last couple of days with total number of new COVID-19 cases. And this is the United States. I'm taking in, you can see this, it's called, it's jagged. And to straighten it all out, you take a look at 1 week averages. And you take a look at 1 week averages, and we were averaging 30,000 for quite some time, then went right below it. And you could see with these last 2 days, what it's doing is it's bringing down the average, and it's starting to come down. And this is what they like to see for a 2 week stretch of this kind of a velocity down, so that we can breathe a sigh of relief and move on to other phases. And this was interesting. I just saw, and I didn't have time to update it yet, but calculatedriskblog.com has this wonderful thing where they're tracking a lot of different COVID, and this is the number of tests they do and the number of positives. Well, we were running kind of high. We got as high as almost 25% of all tests were positive, which means we were only testing people that we really thought had COVID. And it got all the way down to this, and this was yesterday at 4.5%. We want to be below 5%, so that means we're testing on a big enough scale that only 5% or less are showing up as positive. It means we're testing a lot. You get to some of these areas and they're testing so many people, and they have nobody that is testing positive any longer. Those are some areas that have kind of squashed it out. So their testing is starting to go down quite a bit. But we still are mass testing. And a matter of fact, we hit 394,000. I think he revised this, but this was in one day. I know that yesterday or today it spiked up, that it went up to above 5. It's at a little bit above 6%. They want to get that number down below 5%, but you can see the trend is we're trending down. We're doing more testing, and it's helping out quite a bit in getting an accurate picture of negatives and positives and all that good stuff. So I want to see more of that. Somebody else brought up hospitalizations and all that stuff, and there are great resources for this. This is actually the University of Washington comes up with this. They've been updating it quite a bit, but this is for all of the United States. And you can see the hospitalizations. This is where we are today. So you can see we're starting to come down in terms of hospitalizations also. And this is trend line for when we go out. I mean, it doesn't look like you're totally out of the woods until we get towards August. And then there could be reinfection that they're talking about down the road. But these are all good. The gold standard is Germany. This is after, you could see this is that 1 week average. But what happens over time is that you want to see it continue to trail down so that you can open things up like Germany did. And the gold standard is, of course, South Korea. Now, there has been an evolution in what's happened to South Korea and all that stuff. We'll get to that in a second. And this is California. This is jagged. This is 1 week averages. And you can see how jagged it is. If I showed you the daily averages, it's all over the place. But what's happening in this is it's trailing up. It's actually going the wrong direction. It has not come down. And this is why they're having a hard time pushing on towards opening things up a little bit more in California. And right now there's 69,400 cases. So probably by the end of the day, we're going to be at 70,000 plus cases for the state of California. And I don't even know why. Oh, Southern California cases, 32,250. That's LA. They're number one in all of California. Number two is Riverside County, 5,200. And then number three is San Diego with 5,050. Number four is OC with 3,550. And then we have San Bernardino that just hit 3,000. They're number 5. All the most impacted counties are, of course, the most dense counties, and those are all in Southern California, and they round out the top 5 for counties in all of California. So, macroeconomic outlook. If you see here, this is there's a lot of negative charts. This is after the disease. But what I'm going to focus on is a few real quick things. Consumer confidence. This is thanks to California Association of Realtors. They've been putting out these 45-minute weekly updates, and they're packed full of so much great information, and they're other great minds thinking about economics and what they're looking for. And it kind of got me thinking as to some of the things that I'm watching, and that is, I think, a big piece of us actually coming out of the woods completely on this is not just consumer confidence, but spending. As consumer confidence took a gigantic dip, it was the biggest decline since 1973, where it was a spike downwards. It was a waterfall effect, and this is shutting down everything. You get this kind of waterfall effect. We've seen them in all kinds of data out there, these big, giant, sharp declines, and that's what happens when you shut down a society. Consumer confidence, of course, took a beating as well. And this is what I'm most concerned about is retail sales. You could see this is all retail growth. This is takeout food, autos, and you could see a pretty gigantic drop, and people are saving more as well. They're not spending like they used to. They're like saving for just in case type of thing, putting it underneath of the cushions, underneath the mattress, and why do consumers matter so much? This is also also the third slide from CAR, because as part of real GDP, and I thought this explained it the best rather than it be stuck in my head. I thought, oh, brilliant, we'll share these. This is everything, real GDP, consumers, all the spending, 69% of all of GDP. So when all of a sudden everybody starts saving money and they're not spending like they used to, we're taking a big chunk of GDP out, because everything else, this is government spending, this is everything else, is only 31%, so it's not even quite a third. So consumer spending is the big enchilada, the big gorilla that carries the United States economy on its back. Nobody spends like the United States does. So, and one more slide that I wanted to bring up was the unemployment. They think this is what it is for California, 18.6%. This is they don't have the hard numbers yet, but this is what their guesstimates are, and which exceeds the height of the Great Recession. And remember, this was all of a sudden, suddenly, that is where our unemployment level is now in California. So the industries that are the worst affected by the COVID-19 job crisis, you see leisure and hospitality comes out at number one, and they have the highest unemployment rate. And the number two is wholesale and retail trade. That's at 17%. Education and health services, 11%. And then it falls, there's manufacturing, there's construction, there's other services. They've got their own unemployment, but the biggest is, of course, leisure and hospitality and wholesale and retail. And they're trying to get retail back online, at least here in California, to some degree. And so people are asking me, so when's the recovery? When are we going to recover? What's the crystal ball look like, Stephen? And when is it going to happen? So basically it all boils down to the virus. It's up to the virus. Its recovery is however COVID-19 plays out from here on out. And everybody has different hypotheses. It's going to totally melt away during the summer. We could get a reoccurrence. It might not melt away during the summer. There's all these different hypotheses that we all don't know. And that's where the uncertainty comes in. So it's really going to play out however COVID-19, however the science behind COVID-19, how that plays out. How it's all made up, and what we're able to do to circumvent this thing getting worse, coming up with a vaccine, coming up with different hospital drug treatments, things like that. So that's what we got to wait for. And so we don't know specifically, but we have ideas. And I've talked about U-shaped recovery. And first it was V, and then there was U, and then there's also the W-shaped recovery. And this is what I want to avoid at all costs. And that is, we start unlocking everything, and we unlock things probably too early, and then there's a resurgence. Is that guaranteed? If we unlock things totally early, does that guarantee that we're getting a resurgence? No, but it's like gambling, and there could be a resurgence. And if we have that, this is what I want to avoid, because if we have to go back and stay at home, then all bets are off on the economy, and the economy grows even worse than had we stayed all together in and waited till the right moment to get out there and do our thing. And that's what all the scientists are saying. We can poo-poo on the scientists and all that stuff. What I am as an economist am most concerned about is this W-shaped recovery if something like that were to occur. And then we'd be in even more of a world hurt. So you want the economy to go back to normal. We all do. However, if you go too fast and then we get a resurgence, it's going to look uglier than had we just waited. And that's my point. And together, we got to collectively look at it. Kumbaya, everybody. United States, everybody. Germany, France, China, everybody. We're all in this together. It is a World War III, whether we like it or not. We're all battling the same enemy, and that's coronavirus. And I honestly just want us to play our cards right and look to see what other people are doing out there, because then we get to unlock. If we play our cards right and unlock, we just get to keep on going and everything looks great. So this happened over the weekend. This was China and South Korea. They had a bit of an increase. There were 35 new cases in South Korea, and you say that's not that many cases. It is when you had like 10 or right around that, maybe 12 and you were less than 10 for quite some time, and then you unlocked the bars. And then that was that's what happened last week. Then they had 35 cases that were all because of the same bar scene, and they all infected. A whole bunch of people got infected, and then they had a surge, and then as a result, they discontinued the opening of bars and closed them down again. So if we're going to be looking at opening up bars, boy, we've got to do proper social distancing. We've got to do things right. There can't be a dance floor. It has to be a real mellow scene for a while. And I think that that's what we're learning from these other countries that are way ahead of us. So unlocking doesn't quite look like sometimes what we think, and that we got to watch what other people are doing to see where we're going. And then this is also very important with consumer spending. Consumer spending all boils down to this. If we unlock too early, there's going to be people where they're going to be staying at home thinking, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to the cinema theater, 55% of all polled. I'm not going to pubs, bars, clubs, concerts, sporting events, gyms, restaurants, cafes, large retail stores, malls, museums, hairdresser. It gets smaller once you get to your hair. You notice that? And then not planning to avoid anything, 18%. And then supermarkets. Still some people avoiding supermarkets. I don't know how they're doing it. But this is just interesting. And what this tells me is that if we play our cards right, we open up things right, more and more that everything goes back to normal, the more that we all start feeling more comfortable on going back to everyday life. And these are the states most and least likely to wear face masks. California, we're at 50 to 60% of all Californians are willing to wear a face mask. And that's because we are pretty entrenched. Same thing with Rhode Island and New York. And I think that's about it. So other than that, those are the ones that are most likely to wear a face mask. And is working from home here to stay? I thought this was great. This is what we'll finish with. Everybody working remotely more often. 43% say that we're going to be working from home even when this thing is done for a long time. Maintain my former schedule, only 35%. Work in the office more often, 12% said they'll work in the office more often. Already worked remotely full-time, 8%. But you can see there's going to be a change afoot on the other side of this. Understand that we're going to have to come to grips with that. If we like it or not, we're able to work from home, and we're getting to know that really quick. So reportsonhousing.com, you can go there to subscribe, and you get a month free if you sign up using May Demand. That's the month of May Demand. And there are sample reports, and I'd like to thank our sponsor, Matterport 3D Tours, matterport3dtours.com. They've got a great way of doing this. They have special COVID-19 extra precautions. They've got a great virtual tour system, all the latest gear. They have special COVID-19 extra precautions that they take, and they start at $299 per month. That is reservedphotographer.com. Thank you very much, Matterport 3D Tours, for your sponsorship. Oh, come on up here.
Wait, I want to press the button.
She wants to press a button. Okay, you can press the button. Wrong way.
Nope, that way. Yeah.
There we go. Thank you very much for staying tuned. I know that this one ran long, but I had a lot to say. I couldn't help it.
I came over
Hey, Mia.
here.
Mia's like hiding over there. Hey, you can't hide. Everyone's already seen you, Mia. But anyways, thank you very much for joining us on episode number 17. Stay tuned for episode 18 coming up this Friday. We'll have even new numbers. See where the inventory's headed, where demand's headed, how we're doing. Maybe COVID-19 looks even better. We will have to wait and see. We'll be continuing to bring the good stuff. Thank you very much, and we will see you on Friday.